Hello, and welcome back to the Brickanista Broadcast Network. I'm your host, Naomi, based in Seattle, and I'm here with my buddy, Brick Literacy.
What's up?
Hey, how's it
How's it
going?
going?
I
It's
know.
going
And
pretty
this
good.
episode, oh my gosh, it's hard to believe this is our 8th episode now covering this
Yes.
season. And I think this was one of my favorites. That I think because you get to spend more time with each of the builds, because early on in the season they had so many teams, and then you only got a fraction to see what was happening.
Yeah.
So I'm excited but sad too, because I know it's going to be winding down soon. But I think it's still been fun to watch.
Yeah, this was a really interesting challenge, and the first time they've made things to actually play with. So
or
that was
for Will to play with. Right?
Yeah, for Will to play with.
About Will.
Yeah. Unfortunately, the contestants mentioned that they didn't get to use the other contestants' golf courses.
Yeah, that's unfortunate, because that would have been fun, there. At least as a participant, right? But at least the good thing, I'm not going to say this. I'll say this at the very end. We'll talk about the builds themselves. But today we have some special guests who are going to be helping us review the episode, and we're going to talk to them a little bit about their builds while they were on the show. So please help me welcome to the stream Jon L. Compton. How's it going, Jon? Good to see you.
Hey guys. Hey, thank you for having me.
From New York City, we have Jon L. Compton. Yeah, no, really thank you for taking our invitation and for just being on our show and sharing your thoughts as well. And of course, we have to add as well, Xavier Valoria as well.
Hey.
How's it going, Xavier?
Hello.
Yes.
Hi.
Yes. We heard that you just came from an anime convention, so you're super hyped and stoked after all of that activity. That's awesome.
Also, real quick, one thing, Jonathan, thank you for also wearing the Chonky shirt that you wore in the dog episode. That was amazing.
Right. We got to have you show off the Chonky shirt.
You know what's great? At the convention, I met the artist who made that shirt.
Oh, you did? You met Amy? Oh,
yeah.
Shoot.
It was really cool.
Oh, fun. Yeah,
So,
okay, well, let's give you equal
awesome.
time.
Cool, fun, full circle thing going on.
What shirt are you wearing today, Xavier?
Some crying anime eyes from Pop Killer. I didn't get to wear it on the show, but I get to wear it here. So.
Yeah, that would have been something if you had a chance to wear that. And yeah, I'm not wearing like my Taco Cat T-shirt that I wore for another episode, but yeah, we were always enjoying just seeing how the episodes evolved, also with how people were dressed, because some people wore their own outfit. So you kind of answered our question. That chunky shirt belongs to you, right? Because, well, just to be clear, that there were some contestants who shared with us. For example, we had a chance to talk with Tacos and Michelle. And Michelle had mentioned she went to Chicago, and one of your castmates came up to her and said, "Why are you in costume?" She goes, "What do you mean in costume? These are my clothes.
Yeah.
This is what I wear."
We actually, Xavier and I went and shop for a bunch of we needed to update our wardrobe, honestly.
Yeah, I wear a lot of black band tees and
Yeah. You can't wear something that's specific to an intellectual property, right? When you're on the show.
But also it's it's a lot of black, so it's very drab and such a fun colorful.
Well, you could have gone as like a goth team, right?
I could.
That would be cool.
My happy demeanor would be very stark.
Oh, you're the happiest goth.
Yeah, the happiest goth. Yeah.
Right.
It's like it's like that baby metal. It's like
we saw Baby Metal together.
Yeah.
Oh
awesome.
Yeah. They're great. Yeah.
I'm going to put the link to your shirt because we got the link directly from Jon. So if anybody wants to go buy a Chunky shirt and show up to a convention when he's there, you'll have like your Chunky following, right?
That'd be so cute.
It would be great. It would be like Chunkies unite.
Yeah.
But we really wanted to thank you too. And at least for me personally, you are such a great representation of the Asian American community. And we don't get a lot of people in these reality shows who get a chance to, compete like you did. And I was just so excited to see the two of you. And I was cheering you on. And, I was really sad when the results came out of the dog challenge. But hey, you were still there for quite a long time. And we were very, very happy about that. And I was just kind of curious about, did you end up having a lot of fan mail too because of that, because of your representation?
A lot of fan mail was from us, like both fans of just anime weeb culture. They added me on Facebook, and every person that added me on Facebook, I thanked them, and we talked a little bit and shared stuff about the show, and a lot of people asked about the shirt too. So I made sure to always have like a link ready to send it to them.
Specifically that shirt?
Yeah, specifically Chunky, yeah.
Oh, amazing.
Well, that artist should give you some commission for all the increase in sales.
No worries. I'm just happy to support New York artists. Like, it's hard in New York, and I'm glad she's getting some traction.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, and I know that Remy and I have talked a little bit about just how the two of you, the dynamic of the two of you together was also fun to see too. And I think that you have known each other for a long time too, right? And you worked at Lego together?
Yeah, that's true.
He's the one who got me the job.
Yeah.
Practice down and that way.
Yeah, we've basically have been friends since high school, and have the first thing that we knew and saw, like, oh, okay, you're Filipino, like almost like on an instinctual level. I was just like, oh, you're Filipino.
Yeah.
And then we ran into each other in like anime club, but it wasn't even like an official club. It was just a hangout group. To be honest.
So when you said this club, is this in high school or in college or?
In high school, yeah.
Oh, in high school. So you've known each other since then. Wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And then if I remember the story that you've always loved Lego, Xavier, and that you were envious of Jon because he was working at the Lego store.
Yeah,
it was more about that.
So it wasn't like a envy. It was more like, man, I wish I could be part of that, because I was so bummed, because like literally him and his best friend and his then girlfriend, now wife's brother, literally all got jobs there. And it's like, man, I'm in New Jersey and I can't even be at this hiring fair. And just like, what? So
I had a monopoly.
I was pretty bummed about that. And then like you're telling me like you get to build sets for work. What? I'm bagging groceries at a shopping mart. So it's just like, oh, I was pretty upset. Just because it's like I feel like I missed out on that opportunity. But like things happen, and then like was going through some periods after graduating, and Jon still, remembered that I love Lego. So when the opportunity came, he helped me out, and that's kind of what got me on this path back again.
Right.
At some point, I ended up becoming a supervisor there, and then I was like, all right, I'm gonna put in a good word. And it sounded like during that time he just needed something. So I was like, okay, yeah, there's an opening, and I reached out to him.
And one of your fans is here. Also, your castmate Tacos is in the
Hey, Tacos!
Tacos.
How's it going? We were just talking about you, Tacos, about you and Michelle, about your wardrobe and how everybody who was on the show either had to wear their own clothes or something was given to them. And that's why we were talking about the Chunky shirt right before you showed up. So I think, and you also used the phrase chunky when you were talking about Murph.
Oh, yeah. He is a chunky boy. Like, for sure. Just like That's basically how I imagine hugging him. Just like,
Chonky potato, man.
yeah.
Yeah, and I've been following his Instagram account since the show, and it's so sad that he passed. And,
Yeah.
yeah, but he lives on, right, in that show, and you
Yes, he
guys
does.
had a chance to meet with him, which is
Yeah.
awesome.
Mhm.
I'm very grateful for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very sweet.
Now, are there certain things that you take back from the show that you are so, what are some of the best things that you remember from the show from the time that you were in there and reliving it now? Because now it's been, what, 6 months since the time that they actually filmed you guys. So how has that been, kind of reliving that through the episode?
I think for me, a lot of what I took away from the show was actually off screen. I got to meet a lot of amazing people, and sorry, give me 1 second. I'll be right back.
No problem.
It's okay.
We're gonna put you in the green room.
Yeah, I'll speak while John's taking care of something.
Yeah, no problem.
But yeah, John alluded it a little. Was starting to allude to it. It's just the moments off the screen when you're talking or you're interacting with the rest of the cast. It's still surreal, but it's just really cool just to meet everyone, and everyone's so very supportive and just it's very nice. John's definitely more of the extrovert between us two. I'm definitely more of an introvert. I get pretty quiet, but I have my hobbies like Lego and such. But just being around such positive people and just being able to interact and have fun, just like hanging out in the hotel room, having a barbecue, even like in the holding area is just a lot of just hanging out. Like we're all stressing over the same stuff. We all want to do great, but it's also we all look out for each other,
Yeah, we forged pretty strong bonds after the show. So, like they're reaching out to us, like Steven. They're sending us like a care package with really cool stuff. Yeah, it is the sweetest thing. And I'm like, I'm totally gonna send them stuff back. This is amazing.
Well, I think the two of them too, from what I heard, and you can confirm this, that especially Crash, when you first started together, that they hosted a barbecue just to break the ice, get to know each other, and just that kind of, get the family to get to know each other. So they were catalysts for that. And that's what I heard from some of the other castmates.
100%. That's 100% true.
That's awesome.
And not even just the cast too, but even like the production crew that we were working with, they were just very cool. It's like when it came down to wardrobe or makeup or just production in general, they were just really cool people to talk to. And just, I don't know, it just felt very, very, I don't know.
They eased our nerves. Like I think it also says like, oh, if we were getting nervous, and they, reminded us, hey, not a lot of people have this opportunity.
True.
Take it in stride and really enjoy it. So, just being reminded of that like helped us kind of push through when we were really up against the wall, when the challenges got really tense.
Especially when you go to challenges back to back and then you haven't had a lot of sleep and you're, stressing about what you have to do. And Emily posted today on her Instagram account, her getting makeup and talking to them in the morning, kind of that nice behind the scenes shot. So it's also, so I have to ask, since you mentioned it, now I'm curious about the hairstylist. So did you each have a separate hairstylist, or did you have the same hairstylist, and did they modify anything for you? Because we had this conversation with the grandpappies, and Carrie said they put so much gel in his hair and they made him have the same hairdo as Austin.
Yeah.
With the alfalfa thing going on.
Really a big mohawk. So I'm just kind of curious, from your two perspectives, did they also, modify your hairstyle, or what did they just, make small touches? What happened there?
Yeah. No worries. For me, actually, this is what my hair normally looks like. It's very just windswept that way and kind of like fluffs itself up. And I think there was a visual look of see, like it's windswept. It's like
right, and you have like highlighted tips.
Yeah, and normally that's the style I would go for. And I think the interesting backstory is that when I think I can share it, right?
Yeah, we don't want to get you into trouble, but
just
no,
share what you're allowed to share.
I think
it's obvious it's different, right?
Yeah,
and then you're on the show, so it's kind of obvious.
There was a hiccup in terms of like what I had to kind of bring to the show, because I finished all of my highlights, and it was just dark colored hair, and they asked me before, like, oh hey, do you usually dye your hair? Because I have pictures on my Facebook of me with my hair dyed, and 2 nights before I had to fly out with Xavier, they asked like, hey, are you coming here with your hair blonde? And
2 days beforehand. Whoa.
So I ended up finding an emergency like hair salon and just dyeing my entire head kind of platinum blonde, and that's kind of what ended up on the show.
Wow. Because that for people who don't know, for Asian hair and for dark hair in general, you have to go completely white first. So they have to like bleach your hair white, and then they put the dye on top. And that isn't easy to do, and it takes a long time. So I imagine your emergency hairdresser had to spend at least 3 hours with you to get that done?
I was in there 8 hours, give or take.
What?
Because they didn't do it right. My scalp burned so much to get it that color, because they kept saying that your hair is too strong and we have to do it again. And then I was just like, ow, it hurt so much. And
the things we do for television, right?
It was brutal.
Yeah, but it looked really cool afterwards. So I was like, okay, I guess the pain was worth it.
Wow. Imagine him telling me this and me seeing him at the airport, not knowing how he looks, because the last time I saw him, he just had black hair.
So then you met him at the airport in Atlanta, and then you saw
in New York. We met in New York.
Oh, you met in New York.
Yeah, we flew together. Yeah,
together. Okay. So Xavier, what was your response then when you first saw Jon?
I was just like, oh man, that's I don't even. I was just looking at it, I was like, wow, you're blonde. Blonde. All right. Wow. They really dyed your hair. Oh man.
Yeah, they did. Yes.
Like very blonde. Yeah.
I think the only other wardrobe comment I could make is that they just kind of reduced the fluffiness of my hair.
They switched the way your hair naturally flows.
Yeah, but whatever. I got on TV.
No, yeah. But it's just it's like for me, I'm thinking it's like the river is already flowing one way. Why not just? Why are you trying to reverse the current? It's there, but that's what they chose, and
I think that would be the only thing.
Yeah. Carrie mentioned every night he had so much gel in his hair that he had to wash it off just, so he could sleep well. And then the next morning they would put all the gel back and put it all up in and he just said it was just, it's not him normally. So
I had to like buy Olaplex number 5 and just like dump it in this conditioner just so my hair could like repair itself in like the days after. It was it wasn't that bad, but waking up with the pillow just full of conditioner was just like
but you said it's worth it, right? You got on the
show.
It was
totally worth it. I got on the
iconic show because as an Asian American, we don't have a lot of people who dye their hair completely blonde because it's hard to maintain. Right? Because once your roots come out, then you got to do all the top and everything. And I have never done it because I have heard about the pain and I've heard about the time. And I don't think I would look good as a blonde anyway. But thank you so much for going through that pain for our entertainment. And what about you, Xavier? Did you have any special,
So they actually, because they asked both of us if we were both willing to dye my hair, like our hair, and I was like, no, I have been growing my hair for over 10 years. I am not dyeing it, even if just to get on TV. I'm not. No, sorry. But they let me keep the long hair. It was cool. And then on the show, like the hairdressers, they really loved my hair because they would just comb it and all that. All they would do is put a little bit of like gel or something to keep it down, and that's it. I had like one of the easiest setups for hair, at least on the show.
Yeah, Folky Brick, Erin from Erin and Liz mentioned in her Instagram that she loved Richard Ross because he took her very, very straight hair and made it nice and wavy and curly for the show.
Yeah.
And yeah, so they really know their stuff, these makeup artists and the hairstylists and everything. And then I just think that you two coming out were just very iconic, right? Like you said, with the blonde hair and then with the long hair. And we were cheering you on. But just kind of curious about, now that you've had a chance to reflect back on the show, are there things that you think you would have done differently or changed?
Yeah. It's tough though, because in that moment, right? It's hard to like think of everything, right? Yeah. Oh, what about you, Xavier?
I think it's like we had the right mindset and approach, right? The planning and all that. It's literally just the execution, accounting for things going awry, right? Strategy-wise, I think we were solid, right? Technique, I could focus on that specifically, and John's really great at the storytelling, so the dynamic is there, and we could create stuff. It's just the timelines was just so sticking to the timelines that we try to set for ourselves, and being overly ambitious or too focused on one thing. It's a lot of, I guess, not misdirection, but if you lean too much on one thing, you miss out on something else. So it's just finding that balance, right? It's
the prompt, like making sure we know exactly what the prompt is asking for. Like, is this an aesthetics challenge or is this a structure challenge? And that, reminding ourselves of that, just so when we hit that roadblock, we're like, okay, we should lean more into aesthetics, or we should lean more into like structure and stability, just so we hit the prompt. Survive to the next round.
And it's really hard because as you're a builder, like you build in the way you build, but like when you actually have to meet different criteria to someone else's criteria than your own, it's a big adjustment, especially just realizing what works on camera and what doesn't, like spending so much time on a detail that ultimately not really gonna make that big of a difference. It might separate you if you're in a top end, but like just to move on, like you don't have to worry about those details. I think I know for me, like maybe I might have spent too much time on certain things, and
fine.
But it is what it is.
Yeah,
it is what it is.
We learned through it.
Well, I think you still should be very proud of all of the builds that you put together. And in fact, we have a couple of photos of all of the builds that you've done before we get into the review of the show, because we were really excited when you agreed to be on the show, because we actually have a first, second, and third place for each of our episodes, because we kind of consider it similar to the Olympics.
Yeah. Okay.
And we really liked your Millennium Mango.
Yeah, we gave this the bronze medal in the first.
Oh, nice.
So, we really enjoyed this. Speaking of what works on screen, here's the Millennium Mango. We just thought it was really fun, and there's a lot of fun details inside here. And I've been dying to ask, what's going on with this person here? You guys remember?
So
I love that you find that. That's great. I love that.
Yeah, I really like that you pointed out. So,
I love that.
What happened inside the Millennium Mango is a little bit of like the gravity is basically out in space. Someone trips, and the what you don't maybe it's really hard to see because there's a lot of yellow, and the tan and yellow kind of blend together. But there's actually boxes floating around. I think maybe it's behind
right by the blue arm.
Yeah, right by the blue arm.
Oh yeah, here we go.
We tried to put more of that. And what you would see if you like actually stepped in and saw it a little bit closer is that these boxes are actually floating around inside the Millennium Manga.
Oh,
Yeah, there's
Yeah.
some.
they didn't get secured properly.
Yeah, pretty
or
much.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a cool detail.
Yeah, you could even see at the bottom we have like a little Balikbayan box full of mangoes.
Yep.
Because our whole idea was it's supposed to be a cargo ship, and
Right.
it was
It's a mango-shaped cargo ship delivering mangoes, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
very very meta.
Yeah, very meta. They're eating mangoes, right, while they're on the ship.
Exactly. Yeah. Yep. It sustains itself.
Yeah.
Wow. That this was a lot of fun, and we loved the shaping of this. This was part of the reason why we gave you the bronze medal, is that it was a very different shape than some of the other builds that were presented. And I think just also, I mean, who would have a flying mango in space, right? It was so different. It was just fun.
Thank you.
But yeah, any other hidden details you guys want to share with us about this build?
Yeah.
This is a light brick, right?
Yes, those are light bricks, and
Okay.
they kind of like ran out of battery. But it used to be a lot brighter.
Yeah. So sorry.
Go ahead,
In
go
the
ahead.
brick pit, there's like a limited amount of pieces. Like they have a lot, but there might not be enough necessary for everyone to go around, depending on the type of piece. So when we got to wanting to light the interior, all the power functions brick were taken out. So it was just like, okay, let's use some light bricks and literally just force them and use a brick to like force it to stay on. And then of course, as time goes on, they just dim. So just like it just there wasn't any light left inside.
Well, we can imagine it.
Yeah.
But that's cool though. Yeah, this had a lot of fun details.
The other like little detail that we had there is that that mecha actually opens up, and there is a little pilot in the inside. I actually designed the mecha to be able to kind of hold a little pilot inside. You don't get to see it, but
probably take that mecha out independently of the ship, right?
yes, you can. Exactly.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That's cool. That's super cool. And that's part of the reason why we gave it the bronze medal, because not only did you build a ship, you also built a mech as well inside the ship. Yeah, so many great details.
Yep. But yeah, okay, let's move on to episode 2, which was the Jurassic Park challenge and the dino traffic delays. And this was a lot of fun because there was like 2 reactions here. You had the initial crashing onto the tanker and then demolishing the gas station, like so.
Yeah.
This was a stressful one for us.
This was
Oh boy,
this was stressful, but I will say as far as it was the biggest learning experience for both of us to know and understand, wait, what actually do we need to be doing for a challenge? Because it was a lot of stress. It was a lot of stress, and we actually disagreed, or not disagreed, but we just couldn't align immediately on what to focus on. I think the idea we had, we were already excited, like Subway. Yeah, we're already excited, but the execution of it, that was where we clashed a little bit. And to John's credit, he's the one who was adamant of like, dude, this is the prop, this is the shot, focus on this. And like for me, I'm so focused on traditional building and the details, and it's like it was tough for me to recognize and understand like this is not the time to use that skill.
Mhm.
You know, but I'm glad it worked out the way that it did.
Yeah, I'm gonna admit that it does not look pretty all around, and it's like really supposed to be focused on just like that shot of the train and the explosions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's okay though, because I think this was the one where you just built the facade of the building, correct? Yeah, that's all you needed. Just knock out a quick facade and like move on to other things, and it still looks pretty decent here. You know, I can still tell that this is a fire escape and these are windows.
Yeah, all of that was like super not last minute, but it was definitely. Oh, I forgot how many hours had passed, but the judges came by. It's like, hey, you guys have a lot of empty space. It's like, oh man, we got a lot of empty space.
Oh,
how are we gonna fill this? Oh man,
we threw down bricks really fast. Like, we had a template, like so there's actually different styles of frames for each of the apartment buildings, and we were just like, all right, here's a template. These hit bricks, boom, boom.
Boom. Just a different color base plate. Just put a window frame, change the different frame, and just boom, 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 boom. Just fill it up, fill it up, fill it up. Okay, let's add a little detail there.
Because you need the height. That's one of the key things about building for television, right? It's got to be really tall, so then that way it looks good on camera. And you have a comment in the chat from Fourth World Adam that the setup worked out great in the JP builds, and we had fun watching it. So
thank you.
Yeah.
I was worried the whole time. I didn't know how it was gonna look. Even so, like we even like disagreed about how the gas station was gonna fall apart too, because it's like, I want to make it solid. Like, no, we should make it crash. But like John wanted to make it like really crash, like fall apart. It's like, John, it can't completely fall apart. We wanted to fall apart, but not completely. So like, and that testing of how it fell, we did that so much. Like so much. Like we like just the columns in the gas station to see, wait, do we have to use these column bricks? Do we use like the bars inside to keep it? Wait, where do we need to put jumper plates, circular jumper plates?
We use circular jumper plates to make it like more fragile, so it would like break down.
Right, and so it's like, oh, we didn't use enough. We got to use more. Oh wait, oh that's too much. We got to use less. It was just a lot of testing for that.
Yeah, but it paid off. I mean, this was just brilliant, and it was precise. And you spent a lot of time making sure that it was visually appealing. I think we were talking about this episode when we reviewed it, and how also sometimes the special effects didn't work for some of the other builds, but it was perfect for yours. It just was just really well executed.
What's not like actually mentioned when the special effects are set up, we actually have to tell them the pacing of when the explosions happen. So I kind of accounted for like when like the train goes and falls. I had to mentally think of like, okay, we can't, there's no testing of explosions. You only
it's like one shot.
One
shot. John, we have one shot. One shot.
Oh man.
So were you almost cueing them as to when the explosions would happen, or did they just ask for a time and set it to that time?
So what I did was when they asked, like, I was very abstract about it. I wanted to be like boom, boom.
Yeah, we're like train fall, boom, boom.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we kind of gave them like maybe 0.5 seconds between each charge.
Okay.
And we also have to build a little section for that little like explosive charge, and we have to point it out to the explosives expert.
That's great that you were able to give them the right prompts, because apparently the special effects team did the grandpappies in reverse.
Yes, they did mention to us later, and I felt bad.
Yeah. See, that should have been like they should have been able to have a do-over, right? That if it was a special effects problem, I think they should have had a do-over to see how it would have looked if it was done properly, right? Because that's not their fault.
Right.
But I think that's interesting that you told them 0.5 seconds, boom, boom. So once you see the train fall, hit that explosion, wait half a second, and then go for the second one. And that's great that the timing just was perfect.
Yeah, I mean, after seeing the train fall so many times, I already had that kind of like number in my head. I was just
you tested it and you memorized the math. I remember one point, like I think we were like both worried. It's like, what if we must start moving the train and it goes the opposite direction and it falls off? I was like, please don't let that happen. So we made sure. Wait, wait, yeah, it's spinning that way, definitely that way. Okay, we're good. And I remember when they were showing the replay, because it's in slow-mo the whole time too. It took forever for the train
I gotta go through
to like go through the motions. So it was like they definitely had to fast forward through that part of it.
Yeah, this was definitely fun. A lot
it's
of fun.
just one of those where just everything came together. It was really cool. So yeah, congrats on the runner-up in this challenge. Only second because Emily and Liam decided to build this massive fish dinosaur. I don't even know what it's called. Mosasaurus. Thank you.
Yeah.
We are training Remy in pronunciations of large aquatic.
Yeah, well, it helps to like see because I've only seen the first Jurassic Park, so it helps when you watch the other movies, I guess. But,
we've been trying to tell him you got to watch the other ones, not just the first one. It changes the dynamic of the story.
Yeah, it's worth it.
But yeah, anyway, this was a great story here. Bad day at the gas station, but a good day for you guys. And now let's go to episode 3, which was Radar. The Riding Bullet Challenge.
That one was my favorite.
I really
the manga was also great too, but like
I like the like you guys. I think you guys were the only ones to add a secondary motion device kind of aspect to the build here. Like this thing spun around.
That was all Jon.
Yeah, it was. I remember that moment where. How much time did we have left, Xavier? Like 15 minutes? Like less?
It was like within the last hour, and we're trying to finish up the structure, but it's like, what else should we add? What else should we add? It's like, make a radar gun. It's like, okay, and you literally just went to do it.
I built it really quickly. Just the bare bones, just enough. Like what you see inside is like little gold pieces. So when it spun around, like they would like kind of jumble around inside.
Inside the two mirror or window pieces, like
exactly.
That's cool.
And I didn't know how much motion it was going to do, but I left enough space so there would be no friction when it would do the spin, because we couldn't really test it at our station until we couldn't test that part. I was just crossing my fingers that it would work out, and it did.
Yeah.
And I love the eyes that you really captured the anime eyes on this.
Xavier, so good.
Yeah, that's such a great build.
These eyes here.
Now, there is a question in the chat, which is kind of behind the scenes. Did anyone get to ride the bull themselves off screen?
No.
I don't think there was enough padding out on the brick pit for that to be anywhere safe. You would land in Lego. Yeah, you would land in Lego, and that would not be
riding Lego and landing Lego.
The grandpuppies, when theirs fell off, it put a dent in the floor. And Pacos and Michelle said that you couldn't get the dent out. So when you were, after this episode, that was kind of like their tribute, right? It's like, grandpuppies are still here because the dent's in the floor.
Very true.
Wow.
But yeah, here she is. She made it to level 8, which was definitely top half.
We wanted to go all the way. We were actually concerned that the legs were too heavy. Like when we were placing her onto the saddle, it was just like clonking onto the sides.
Yeah.
And surprisingly, that was one of the pieces that stayed on for longer.
Well, it was reinforced really like in there though. But it's so they give you a base at your desk and you can build on there, but then you take it and put it on the bull to like see how it rests. But it's interesting because the saddle that they give you at the table, it doesn't really account for the full curvature for the set, because it literally just has the base plate and then like the mounts of the feet, but it doesn't have like the whole saddle shape. So
they wanted you to meet the certain criteria for the length and the height. Right? Yeah.
Right. So like when we built the legs, we did it literally like just angular to to the base that we had at our table. But then when you put it on there, it's like, oh wow, it's definitely stretching out wider than we expected.
Yeah.
But it still met the criteria, which is good. Because we've been told too that sometimes people misinterpret the criteria, that they were thinking 30 inches from the saddle versus 30 inches from the base of the feet.
Yeah.
That made a huge difference for some of the builds.
Yeah. And it's interesting because of that criteria, you have to be very attentive when they go in further detail of the criteria that you need, because it's very specific.
Yeah.
Right.
I think one takeaway is like definitely ask if you're not sure, especially when you look around the room and see other builders doing something different. And just to give yourself the reassurance. Otherwise it'll definitely ask the challenge people to reiterate it, just in case that you have like any questions or concerns.
Yeah, because that time that you lose doing something,
having to rebuild it,
you're better off just waiting and getting a clear direction of where you're going.
Yeah. Well, hopefully I will get to ask them that one day, but we'll see. But yeah, Radar was awesome, and level 8, great job.
Definitely my favorite. I don't remember if I mentioned, but the face did survive the fall. And I wish they showed it, because it's just like, because it was still smiling. It was like, oh great, she's she fell apart, but she's still smiling.
It's still tough.
Yeah.
And she's blonde, so I wonder if she had to wait 8 hours.
She probably did.
Yeah, a very painful process putting all those pieces onto her head.
We had to dye it first. We had to bleach it white.
Bleach it white,
and then
black
dye
bricks.
it yellow. Yeah,
exactly.
That's brutal. All right, but yeah, now let's talk about episode 4, the Treehouse Challenge.
Treehouse.
And I personally liked a lot of these small details in here. Like down here, I think just using the jewel piece as the die for the D&D game was like one of my favorite details. So,
thank you.
Good job with that. And we've got a wrestling ring up here, which they just didn't show at all, basically, during the episode. So, I'm glad they animated this one.
Oh, we're ecstatic. Like,
we were so hyped. Like, even though we were in like the bottom
two, but you still.
And then they called us over, like, "Hey, we're gonna animate your build." And I was like, "What?
Okay, cool."
Yeah, I was like,
That's
"All right,
cool."
cool." Yeah. And then we had to, like redo our like explanation to make it sound cooler,
to go along with the animation, right?
Yeah, exactly.
For the voiceover.
Yeah.
Well, that's great that they let you know like right then and there, though. That's cool.
Yeah. The producers do a really good job making sure like the casts like look good and basically accentuate the cool details of the build when
And I like the initials there, the XV initials up top.
Yeah, and then John has like John Floor.
The John Floor, yeah.
Is this what this is? John Floor?
Yeah.
John Floor. I wish they would have said that. That would have been nice to say, oh yeah, he's got his own floor, and then Xavier's up top there.
So that was our whole story. It was when we were informed of like the challenge, it was like we felt like we had a good story. And I think to our credit, the judges even said we had a good story, but I think we leaned a little bit too much on the story rather than what shape are we going to do with the build? How are we going to portray it and stuff like that?
That was the hardest part, actually.
I spend a lot of time making essentially the platforms, but like actually deciding on a shape for the treehouse, we both struggled with it.
Mhm.
We just didn't know, like, what does that
Yeah.
mean?
We only realized it after, where it's like, basically, I was like, all right, Xavier, come on, let's take a step back. Let's just take a look at it. What shape can we make, and what should we make? And we were just like, I don't know.
Yeah, it was like, okay, let's just fill up the column because there's a lot of space. And I was thinking like a like castle in the sky type of thing. So it's like, okay, let's fill it out. It's like, how much can we fill it out? And then the biggest thing we got caught up on is like
the treehouse details.
They said treehouse elements, and we're like, what does that mean? And like, what does that mean? Like, all right, so we added like a bucket with a mango in there. It's coming up in there. And we're like, okay, what's the thing with treehouse elements? Oh, it's made of wood. So we decided to make it brown because brown was the color of wood. Right. And then in hindsight, it's like we could have made it more colorful or distinctive.
Didn't you say a spaceship too?
Yeah. So
we knew we could have just made a space, like
like part of the story. Like, so they do edit, a lot of the story behind almost like everyone's builds. The idea is that's me in the spaceship gathering materials, and that's what's actually this kind of white like board is kind of holding up all of this like material in a more like futuristic way, and then it's merged in with the wood elements, because we had part of the challenge was to merge the tree and the tree elements with something else. I think post-mortem, when we realized this afterwards, is that, you know what, we should have just made a huge UFO and like had it stuck into a tree.
And that's what it is. Because when you see everyone else and they're building all these, it's like, I don't know. It's like they're building a giant brick. It's like, what? They're building a giant brick. And we thought about doing that, but we're like, no, we don't want to make it enclosed. So it's like, okay, let's think something else. And we actually talked to Nick and stuff like that. It's like, okay, we chose a different path. And they definitely did fantastic. Yeah. But it's like, I don't know why we didn't realize, hey, they're building a giant brick. Why don't we just build our own shape? I don't understand why we just got so stuck on like the platform thing. It was a misstep.
Michelle had mentioned that, Tacos lives in New York, just like so you don't really have tree houses right over there. So you're also trying to, take your own experience and trying to adapt to something that you're not as familiar with versus other people who may have had tree houses growing up, right?
Right. One of the things that Amy had mentioned to us when initially coming to our table is think of a treehouse that little Jon or little Xavier would be excited to see as a kid. And to be honest, for me, it's like, if I'm a little kid, I think it's just cool to be up in a tree in a platform. Right. But and I'm gonna want all my favorite things there. So that's like me and Jon were just like, okay,
put our hobbies.
I'm gonna put a wrestling ring. I'm gonna put biking. I'm gonna put a concert on my floor because that's the stuff that I would be excited to see.
Yeah, and mine was a UFO and the D&D table.
Now, there's a comment in the chat about how, since you were talking about Amy and Jamie coming over, and how when Amy and Jamie mentioned the negative space, we were surprised about how well you covered it. It looked simple, but really worked well with the rest of the build. So you maximized your time for sure. And so it was a great build.
Thank you.
It goes back to the brief, right? What is the brief and what is it that they're really looking for?
Yeah.
We actually used that same template that we did for the Jurassic Park challenge of like, okay, here's a frame, here's the thing, okay, let's build it around. But it was just, I don't know, we just
it was hard.
We just missed misaligned.
The judges also want to pull different things out of each of the cast members for sure. Like, I think for us, they wanted to see more of little Jon, little Xavier. Yeah.
Right. The humor that we showed in the spaceship challenge, we could have done more like that.
Yeah. Exactly.
And it was definitely a misstep in just that challenge, again, the story was there, but as far as just at a glance, if it's
Mhm.
not immediately apparent, then
Yep.
it's a bit lost when you don't look at it.
I want to disagree. That rainbow ladder was pretty freaking cool. When I first saw you, like, right when like we were making that, what do you call it? I was putting
the
some
little
things
bricks
together. Yeah, and then Xavier was like, oh, what about this? And he puts it into one brick, and I was like, oh, dude, let's freaking do this. And then I was like, let's make this ladder, and it connects our 2 floors.
Yeah, so it's like, oh, Lego is what brings us together.
Yeah.
So it's like there was like literally levels to this, like pun intended, but it's just like the whole story is like, but without knowing all of that, it may not be immediately apparent, and that's the thing that we missed. We had, I feel like we had everything else, but just at a glance, it just wasn't immediately
we needed
apparent.
To do like more, I think.
Yeah. I do think it's funny that we we literally talked about building a UFO. It's like, we're gonna build a UFO in a tree, but we're gonna put a mango in space. Like, it's literally the opposite. Like, okay, sure.
Well, it was still a really great build. I mean, and kind of to the earlier point that you brought in a lot of your elements, and we got to know you also better based on some of the things that you love to do.
But yeah, this was a great build. But before we move on, because now we're going to move on to episode 5, but we got to talk about something that happened kind of at the beginning of the build time, which was everybody making a mad dash for the leashes, resulting in this.
John, you were right in there. You
Renaissance.
He's like on the floor behind.
Oh my god!
Oh
yeah. And we have.
And then Xavier, you're like, what?
just watching the melee unfold here. And
I did look at
Dom
I watched this in slow motion several times, and we did interview Ethan and Dom, and Ethan got there first. He grabbed the pink leash, and then Crash came through and knocked the table over. You were there already, and you got Murph's leash in your hand. Yes. And the table went over, and you're like on the floor, and then everybody else around you, and then all of a sudden everybody disperses, and you're walking away with Murph's leash, and it was just like, what in the world was going on with that? So tell us a little bit. How did you feel when the table went over, and you're sitting on the floor with all these people scrambling around you?
Oh well, as soon as I touched the leash, I had a moment of joy. I was like, I did it. Because when the dogs get released and you get to see like quick snippets of like the dogs you're potentially going to build, I asked Xavier, which dog do you want? And then he's like, I don't know. I think this one. I was like, oh, that one? And it was Murph. And I was like, all right, I'm going to get it. I'm going to get Murph. And
I was literally like small dog,
the French bulldog,
small dog.
That's
definitely
all he said.
Small dog, definitely not the big tank, definitely not the pulley. Small dog, and I couldn't keep track of all the dogs. They're all running around when they introduced them. It's like, hey, find the color of the leash of the dog that you want. It's like I can't even like chase after them. So like John just knew who to get right away. It just
it was
you were third to the table when I was watching it. So it was like Ethan got there first, he dashed out of the way, Crash got there second, knocked the table over. You were there third, had the leash in hand, and then everybody else was scrambling behind you guys. That was crazy.
Yeah, I'm surprised no one actually got super hurt. Because those fences were actually
those are real fences.
Yeah, those are real fences. And they were super pointed. So if like anyone was like we tripped the wrong way, oh boy. Yeah. But I survived.
Yeah. Fourth World Adam mentions do you think if they had just asked for the Dalmatian, they would have gotten it? Crash and Yo-Yo would have just
100%.
Was there any discussion beforehand of that?
Oh, there was definitely a discussion.
There was definitely some,
definitely discussion.
There's definitely
like I will just say, was very adamant about wanting a corgi, and I understand because he loves corgis and he does it for his stream. But he was very adamant about the corgi, so it's like, okay, that's one dog off the list. All right.
Telling Ethan and Dom that because they wanted the corgi too, and then so they kind of negotiated, and then they said, okay, we're going to go for the dachshund. So I think all of the people there, they were really good about trying to broker. That if the firefighters wanted the Dalmatian, you all would have given them the Dalmatian, right? You really didn't need to fight over it, but it made for great television.
Yeah.
I was laughing because when they aired it and they're showing the interview with Steven and he's like, we really need to get this dog. I'm just like, oh man, here it comes.
Well, yeah, this was definitely one of the more dramatic moments in Lego Masters this season. But yeah, now let's talk about Murph.
Murph,
yay!
Murph was amazing.
Super.Murph on Instagram.
Yeah, and this build is amazing too. Like the cape is amazing for the tongue, and
thank you.
The ears and the whole snout and eyes are, this was a tough challenge.
Oh boy, yeah,
100%. Yeah, like it really was.
I am not. I don't sculpt that big at all. So doing that for the first time on the show was like a huge learning lesson on like how to properly proportion stuff. And it was tough. It was definitely tough.
Oh, but it looked beautiful.
Oh,
yeah.
Thank you. I'm bummed because I focused a lot. Like I'm not bummed, but I know because I focused a lot on the structure and stuff like that, and just like, man, literally the same reinforced every other structure. It was right there in the neck, and we just didn't do enough to reinforce it. So it's just like, man, literally one structural thing, kind of like what happened, which is. It's understandable. It's what happened. It's just how it is. But it's just like, man, like it was right there. It was right there.
Plus, built on a smooth surface, and then moving him to the carpet. That changes things too.
I mean, the only thing that was structurally not great was the neck, but everything else, like I was thinking, like I could have just pushed the dog and it would have been fine. If there's no tension on the neck and head, the legs actually stood up pretty well. I was fairly confident because like Xavier and I, like when we pushed it a little bit, or I think there's one moment in the show where like the leg just kind of like pops off, and we were like, we gotta reinforce it. And we
it was literally like 15 minutes before we had to finish, and we're like, okay, dude, reinforce the leg, and then one just fell off. I was like, oh my god. Dude,
and we're like holding it up and just like, oh,
it's like get jumper place. Okay, here, put it here.
Yeah. And I think that like that moment like kind of reduced our vision on getting the other parts more structurally sound. That's how the bones roll sometimes.
And that's So I was super excited for this challenge. Ooh, thank you, Adam.
Yeah, Fourth World Adam just says face is so good, so thoroughly impressed. Kudos.
Appreciate that. I spent a lot of time on the face, a lot more than I thought. A lot more time than I thought.
Xavier, are you gonna? I'm putting all the pieces, and I see him. He's like almost like this. What do you call it? Like a Rubik's Cube puzzle.
Like a Rubik's Cube, because it's just, the way that the math works out, it's like, okay, cool. You literally want to and then you have to use snot bricks or with a Technic pit inside and all that stuff, and then making the jaw, and then getting the cape in there, and then the eyes around the arches. It was a lot of detail sculpting, but that's what it was though, because I told John, I am excited for this episode because we get to sculpt it. I'm sculpting, and that's what it was. Because remember in the previous challenge, you said sometimes you might lean too much on what you do, and because that is what I like to do.
Yeah,
the timing doesn't align with what you want to do.
Yeah,
necessarily.
and you really do have the clock as one of your biggest enemies too.
Mhm.
Having to
Yeah.
go through that.
Yeah, I will also say for the last two challenges, we were actually at the furthest tables on the show.
Oh,
The first
That
couple
makes a
challenges, we
difference.
were right there. It does.
Mhm.
Like
Yes, it does.
it really does. Because John and I are messy builders. Definitely messy. There's a lot of times we had to like
It
get our
is-
trays off the table and just
Yeah.
get away because we didn't need any of the pieces on that tray.
Mhm.
It just simulates the look and feel of like building on a floor. That's kind of what ended up happening in my mind. It's just like, oh, boom,
Yeah.
toss them onto the floor. I can see all the pieces; they're all there.
Yeah, because like when you're building for fun, like you can organize it, but then there's like a fun of just like, hey, I'm just gonna build whatever because I'm just gonna look at what I have and figure it out. Like that's the best part about Lego, but you don't really have that luxury all the time on the show because you're on a time constraint.
Right.
So like, and I'm used to going back and forth to getting pieces, but then now you have to run
Mhm.
back and forth to get pieces. So even deciding what pieces you need, we don't
Yep.
have like a full shape yet. And it's just like,
Yeah.
okay, we can't just run. We have to think about what we need to get.
I do have a question about you running to the pit because there were several shots where the builders were taking the dogs with them to the pit. Was that a requirement? Did you have to take at least one or two trips to the pit with your dog?
Like
Because
the Lego dog.
several. Well, it was just
with
I wasn't
Murph.
sure if that was in the brief that during the build you have, because I'm sure the camera people loved it, right? That you're walking to the pit with your dog. So we had a couple of shots like that, and just curious if that was a requirement or those builders just decided to do that.
I don't think it was a requirement.
Yeah,
Okay.
and also the size of the dog too. Like if your
Yeah.
dog is small enough and the build is small enough, you could just do that.
Emily
Right.
really loved her dog, so like
Yeah,
she
yeah,
was
Emily's,
anything.
carry it around. It's like building with one
But
hand.
there is a shot of Stephen Jew walking the Dalmatian to the pit too.
Mm.
So we weren't sure if that was like an exercise requirement. You got to make sure you exercise the dogs more, or just depends on the dog, right?
No.
Yeah, it was more of like I think they had a plan of what they wanted to do with their Dalmatian. And I think when they did that, it kind of sparked like, oh hey, our dog is doing this thing and the personality showing off this trait.
Right.
And then it definitely worked in their favor. I think for Murph, he's very excitable. And what you don't get to hear in the show is that he has this a raptor type of
Yeah.
bark. It literally sounds like a raptor.
He goes. And, and Carol stopped, and we're like, "What is that?" It's like, "Oh, it's Murph." It's like I don't know if he's barking or yawning or whatever, but
It's like a
that's
little
Murph.
howl, maybe, right?
Yeah, it is a howl.
My
Yeah.
dog does that. She'll do a oh. So maybe that was his howl, that he was either excited or happy to see you, or
Mhm.
Yeah.
Right.
And Murph was great though. We were definitely told like we have to watch our feet because he would always walk around the table all the time, go underneath our stools, in between our legs, and like just even the added element of watching our feet and making sure we don't drop stuff on the floor because again we're messy builders. It's like, oh my god, a piece drop, we gotta pick that up. We gotta pick that up. So there's a lot of external factors going on than just the build necessarily.
Yeah.
yeah, maybe that'll be in the director's cut where we'll get to hear Murph's voice.
I hope so.
Yeah.
But yeah, you guys, unfortunately, y'all were limited this episode, but y'all went out on a super high note, and you should be really proud of everything you did on the show. It was really awesome.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you.
I'm pretty proud. I still have a competitive spirit. I wanted to take Xavier as far into the show as possible. With, just be his cheerleader.
Yeah. Well,
No,
you guys
not just
did really great. I mean, it's not just you cheering him on; he was cheering you on as well.
Yeah, Jon. Like, there's a lot of not even just like the building and all that, as the storytelling, just as a person, he's always been great at recognizing people and how he can help them and recognizing what they're going through. So like,
Yeah.
if I'm like stuck away or like in that zone, he'll take the time to recognize that and address it in the way that he can. I even told him he can slap me if I get too much into it. I don't think I ever.
Yeah, break the emergency glass.
Right, literally.
I'm not gonna slap you on live television.
Yeah,
like,
wait until the break.
Well, yeah. So now we're gonna segue into actually episode 8, which is the golf challenge. This was fun to watch. So check out Amy's heels. So she's in this outfit with heels, and I'm like, nobody is on a putting green with heels like that. I'm sorry. Yeah.
Well, she got it because they didn't really show it in the episode, but I just want to look at this this kind of mechanism they built here. So they've got this kind of skull attachment and a tombstone.
That's cool.
And here she's triggered something, she's hit it through the thing. But I'm not sure what happened.
I didn't even realize that on the show, to be honest.
I don't think this was aired. This is just part of the photos that Fox sent us. So,
they sent us some stock photos, and I think this might have been something that was filmed, but that they just didn't have time because they only have 42 minutes, 30 seconds, I think, to air an entire show. I
wonder if it's a demo of like how a power function should be triggered or something. It
lesson learned,
with the Lego learn, But either way, she was on heels on the green, and she got that mechanism to go. So,
only on television. She would never be able to make a whole 18 holes with those heels on.
That would have been possible.
Even with a cart,
it would sink into it.
Lena points out the groundskeepers would frown at you as you.
Yeah, exactly. Groundskeepers would be, excuse me, those aren't cleats. Those aren't actual.
Well, it's just
regulation shoes.
It's just like one cleat, it's not the whole shoe. But anyway, but here's the greens that they were used, and these are all randomly assigned. For people who haven't watched the episode yet.
Yep, spoiler alert.
We're gonna spoil it. So, and they had 9 hours to basically fill the space. And
I thought that was insane.
9 hours is not a lot of time.
No,
this is a massive space here. Like, but apparently the criteria was relaxed somewhat. It was just build a big obstacle that included movement. So there was a lot of wiggle room there. I guess this is Dave and Emily's. This is how they aired them in the episode. They built the Gnome's Wheelhouse.
So I don't know what the criteria was. I was just more like, is it just movement, or did it have to be a power functions movement?
It had to be like a big obstacle that included movement. It included a way to move the ball.
Power functions, they did
that
because they do have power functions in the house for the wheel that moves around.
In this shot they don't show the wheel, which was kind of wedged in between those two houses. It's hard to get a good shot of, but this is
the color that they used in
like
the
a gnome garden.
I love that one.
This was great.
And it was clever how they used the momentum of the ball to tilt the bridge.
The bridge.
So here we have the bridge, and then here's a better shot of the wheel, which was turning in such a way that it would push the ball under. I guess it would have been too hard to like pick up the ball and carry it over. But it still worked. Here's the ball on the bridge thing, and the first shot, Will got it right there.
But it just wasn't close enough. It was just a little bit off. I just love also the color, the mushrooms, and the contrast.
Made it all pop out.
Composition,
Yeah, just small. A lot of people just built small things and put them, just on the sides or in corners to fill it out a little bit more. But yeah, 9 hours is not a lot of time to fill this massive space. But yeah, it worked, and Will got this in on 2, so
it was a part 2 as well.
Yeah, so good times. All right, so next we have Emily and Liam squirreling around, and this was about the squirrel trying to get the nut into the hole into the store for the winter, basically.
Yeah,
or just home.
Yeah.
The
squirrels look pretty cool.
Yeah, let me see. Here's one of the squirrels. Here.
Oh, the acorn. Yeah.
Yeah, they had to get through this acorn flag, I guess.
Right, little obstacle there.
I wonder if there was like a power functions for that flag or not. I wonder.
Yeah, I wonder if something was. I don't know if it was meant to flap open or closed. This is they had little acorns scattered around the build too, so that was fun. There's one in this corner. And here's the other squirrel that you had to time it so you hit it on the squirrel side of the ramp and not the blue jay side of the ramp.
Yeah, I really like that dynamic because it reminds me of like a video game dungeon where it's just like, oh, if you don't time it correctly, you have to go back to the beginning of the dungeon or something like that.
Yeah, this is the villain of this piece, the blue jay.
But it's so cute, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I needed a more evil looking, and that was part of Amy's feedback, was that especially if this character is important to the story, that you really didn't see that character much.
Yeah.
But yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah, with these builds, they're really massive and they don't have a ton of details. So it definitely I want to play all these courses.
Yeah.
Not talk about them so much. But yeah, next up was Brennan and Greg's Under Construction. And they really made the most of this kind of basic area by having you move around and go back. Yeah.
It's called the fairway.
Fairway, thanks. Hey, can you tell I don't golf ever?
Right.
Well, see, they did this, green boxy thingy here, and they did it real good because they did the hole on the other side, and it's
the green boxy thing.
Yeah.
We're gonna need to get that as a video clip.
But yeah, so it would go down this construction chute and into the dump truck.
I thought this was cool, just the way that it kind of circled back at the beginning. Like literally, it would literally circle back. Like the ramp might have been a little too high just for the initial momentum, but everything afterwards, the way that the course ran its course. It was pretty good.
And the brown to the yellow, there's a lot of your eyes kind of guided really well to the different parts of the build. So I commend them for doing that really well.
Yeah, it's like the Hobbit there and back again. But yeah, this ramp is pretty skinny. I wish they had widened this a little bit.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that they could have widened it a little bit. And this reminded me of Domino Masters, where if you watch that show where they have different types of courses that they have to go through, and they come around and they come back, and which just seemed kind of odd for this particular challenge. I was more like what we saw earlier with Emily and Dave, that going kind of right from the start to the finish, whereas this one was a little more. I think they maybe put too much into this build.
I mean, they did say, especially Brendan, he definitely over engineers a lot of things.
Exactly.
It definitely shows in this this challenge.
Yeah.
But yeah, this dump truck, the ball comes down the slope into the dump truck activates, And I think at the same time ish, the crane would raise the girder.
Yeah.
So the ball would come out here, and then this curve was really well designed because if you hit it along the curve, it would go right into the other curve.
Right, that S was nice.
Yeah.
I think we were worried though when the ball was coming down the ramp that it might get stuck because it was going really slow.
Yeah.
But thankfully it got through okay.
I wonder because I didn't get to connect with any of the cast about it, but I wonder if they got a chance to really like test the dynamics of like the actual golf ball when it's set on there, or did they just kind of like hope for the best once everything is set?
Well, there was a comment by Dom about his ball. The ball that they were using was green, and it was triggered by a color sensor. So I think they did get some testing in there in order to make those things work.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because like just the dynamic of like knocking the golf ball through the course, like how do you? I mean, I don't know because I'm not an engineer, but it's like how did they account for that torque and momentum to guide it to where it needed to be? Like I don't know. Like I really don't know. But that's a lot.
Yeah, I don't know how the other teams did it, but Brendan probably just like he breathes engineering. So he's like, you just do it this way. That's how you do it.
That's how you do it. If you do it there, it's just so there. It's like all right.
But yeah, I hope they were able to test these out. Hopefully before. Nick and Stacy mentioned that they didn't get to test their final mechanism.
Well, they didn't have time. Yeah.
But yeah, there's the construction track, and of course, Amy didn't like the lack of color, but that's okay.
I mean, it makes sense for the theme. Anyway,
it should be more colorful. I guess Naomi had to drop out for a second, but that's okay. But yeah, we'll move on to Ethan and Dom's Jungle Temple.
Welcome back.
We almost would have had a dead stream, so I had to attend to that.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, sorry about that. I had to step away for a moment.
I
had it covered, Remy. I wasn't worried.
Okay. Yeah, you don't let your dog chew on those cords anymore. But yeah, here's Ethan and Dom's Jungle Temple. And this had a lot of fun details in the actual temple here.
Oh yeah, I thought it was really cool.
Here's Will trying to get Ethan a date. For better or worse.
I don't know. This was the cringe-worthy part of the episode for me. I was just like, you got to be kidding me! Don't go there. Don't go there.
Yeah,
they edit out a lot of stuff. I'm surprised they kept that in.
Yeah, exactly. It's like of all the things you're going to keep in, you're going to keep that part in. But anyway, I won't go down that rat hole.
Yeah. Anyway, but yeah, here's their temple. Here's their explorer, and this is the key that they had to find to unlock the treasure room.
I loved all the flames here. This was
this skull was pretty interesting.
It kind of reminded me of a Mexican wrestler skull, though.
Yeah.
So that's why I was like, sometimes you can overdo it with color. I think a classic skull probably would have worked better.
Yeah, maybe. I thought the snout looked kind of like a pig. A little bit.
I was gonna say I didn't want to. Yeah, you got it.
That's not like a criticism. I thought that was neat. It's a cool skull. It's just
well, skulls do have that kind of squished, recessed nose thing. But yeah, I think it's the colors that kind of throw it off. But still, it was a really nice sculpt.
Yeah, the temple was really cool.
Yeah,
I thought just.
And this was hard too to watch when the golf ball didn't go up the conveyor belt right away.
I was nervous for them.
Yeah.
That, because it's like, oh man, it's just
like,
not
come
catching.
on, just catch.
Yeah.
It kept falling off. But at least it stayed within the I guess the angle. So then finally when it caught it started moving.
Yeah, that was a good design to have it in such a way that it would keep attempting to get on the conveyor belt. So let's see, and here we go, and it would fall into the top there into the chute, and it came out. And then there was another room that this was the color sensor.
Yep.
Down here. Yeah, and it would turn into this skull. And I think this jewel was supposed to pop up.
That's what I think. Yeah. I think the story would have been like really cool if it's like cool. It enters there and all of a sudden jewel, but then
cool.
Yeah, unfortunately the jewel like fell down and obstructed the ball.
Yeah.
So they had to fix that. And yeah. Yep. But yeah, that was
interesting.
Yeah.
I think it's interesting because like they had I'm sorry to interrupt, but it's just like the concept, like I think it's cool, but it's just like it's interesting that how one thing can pretty much derail everything you're trying to work on. So it makes me wonder, like, if everything worked out perfectly, I wonder how people or how the judges would decide, oh wow, this is the best because of X and Y factors, or this is the team that would go home because of so and so, rather just on a technicality of just missing a prompt or like a, you know what I mean?
We know what you mean. Like we've said it on the show before. Like the the decision of who goes home, it comes down to a dart throw sometimes. It's just a whim of the gods that this breaks or that doesn't work.
It does make you wonder. We should see if there's any close-ups, if there's an earbud in Jamie and Amy's ear. If the producers say, "Don't send anybody home," like just to keep them all safe. Like, no, don't send anybody home. Well, I don't know. I know
they just reshoot it probably.
That, newscasters have earbuds in whenever there's like a breaking story, right? And the producers have to make way for that. And I'm wondering, was that scripted, that particular episode, that nobody went home, or was it something else, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, we always get at least one episode where nobody goes home each season, right?
That's true. And that's why they kind of, shook the order up a little bit.
Yeah, they twisted us again this season. They got us. Those crazy twists.
Sure you want to be on the show, Remy?
100%. Anyway, but it's not about me. It's about the classic castle that Steven created.
Loved
this. Looked amazing.
Wow. Yep.
I absolutely loved this.
Good shot.
Yeah, this was just a great concept and execution here. And let's see. Yeah, this in Roman numerals is 375, which is the name of the classic castle set.
Classic castle.
The yellow castle, which I did not have that as a kid. That was a little bit before my time. I had the king's castle though. But the original yellow one.
The bright yellow popped as well, and they also chose purple for the complementary colors.
Yeah,
and they had purple on the other side of the court.
Yeah, here's this little creature on a flag here.
Yeah, and it made a sound when it went up too. It was just like,
I wish they would have spent more time on the editing to showcase this build a little bit more. I think that they didn't give it enough time.
Okay, yeah, here it is. So you would hit this hit the wall in a certain way, then this would trigger the flag to rise.
Yeah.
And that was one of their functions, and the other was the castle gate going up and down.
Right.
And they also had the brick-built horses. Oh, man. Let me go back. Yeah, they also had these brick-built horses because I guess the original horses were brick-built. So this was
so many Easter eggs in that.
Yeah.
That little build. I love it.
Yeah, this is a great build.
Yeah, and this was just a fun way to fill out the space as well. But yeah, Will. Let's see, what was this one? Yeah, Will got it in 2 shots on this one, so he was pretty happy with that. But yeah, this was a fun build.
Well, I think the other thing about the criteria for this challenge is that was it also Will's input with regard to how much he enjoyed the whole, right? Because you were building for him to be able to play this. So is that also weigh into the judges factoring?
Oh, 100%. Like
Mm-hmm.
the fun element, right? It's
Right.
you're creating a game.
Yeah.
I would have loved to do this one.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. Do you guys know what kind of course you guys would have built, or have you thought about it?
We didn't talk about it. The only thing I told John was like, "Oh man, more power function."
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Oh.
I know Xavier's like you're always like power function, but I'm like, let's do it. Let's put all the motion. Make it crazy. Let's go big. Let's go wild.
Well, you said you wanted to carry him all the way to the end, so you're gonna push.
Yeah.
You're gonna say, "Well, let's do it."
You know, you can make like Radar's Revenge.
Ooh,
There you go.
Yeah.
Oh, that would have been
I
cool.
don't know exactly what that would mean, but
Yeah.
there you go. Go crazy.
I think if we had to like take the color comment to heart, maybe something cyberpunky to kind of like make it different from everyone else. Everyone else.
I think you would have
like,
done spaceship, similar to because it seems like the space theme is something that you also gravitate to. That would be cool to have just different space elements.
Yeah, for sure.
That would be pretty cool.
But like reference like past builds like Radar, Millennium Mango, just kind of like put into one.
Mashup.
I have little
mashup,
builds. But anyway, this was fun, and now we got to Austin and Justin's piece of cake, which was
just brilliant.
I was like,
OMG.
what the hell is this going to be when they first talked
The
about
milk. The milk, crazy.
I wonder what made them decide to go with that theme, because it's such a you
wouldn't think two doctors would come up with baking right as their theme.
Yeah.
But yeah, you mentioned the milk. Like, look at this milk crate here has got some personality to it, and this must have taken them a fair bit of time too to put in all these details. But yeah, basically you hit it up the ramp to the mixer, and you could maybe get a hole in one if it came out right. Yeah, you can see kind of the oven here.
The oven opening was just a very, I don't know, just completed. I mean, Justin said it best: the icing on the cake. Like,
so good.
Yeah.
Now I have to ask: did they ask you to find as many puns as you could when you were on the show?
Oh, we just did that naturally.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Even John was like, "Who are you?" And like, I'm sorry, I don't know where this came from.
Yeah, that definitely would have been me, but that's okay.
Well, just so you know, Remy does not like puns.
I'm not a pun guy.
He doesn't like puns, so that's why you better step up your pun game, though, Remy, if you're going to be on this show.
Yes.
I mean, they'll probably like your reactions every time a pun hits. And you're like, another one.
Yeah,
I'm physically nauseous now for the 15th time. But anyway, these eggs are great. This is the frosting. I don't remember what this was in the corner. I don't know. Does anyone remember what this was?
Like a flour type of thing?
Oh, flour. Okay. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, they always have spilled flour too on the plate.
Yeah, and this mixer, it mixed. That was fun.
Yeah, so they had the power functions there for the mixer and for the cake oven opening up.
Yeah, and then there's the cake oven. There it is.
So very nice.
Cake for Will.
Yeah.
Okay, and there's a better shot of the whole course. Yeah, that milk is really fun.
But you're right, Xavier. It's kind of like this is not what you would expect from this team.
I'm actually really proud of them too, because like when they started with the first challenge, they were pretty bummed about their universal healthcare spaceship and for them to like
turn it around.
continue on and get so much like top 2 and even like a top thing. It's just like they've
improved.
Yeah, they've really done a lot, and I'm sure they're proud already, but they've done a lot. You know,
the camp one is one of my favorites with the lava.
Same.
Oh my god, the colors of that and just the whole design of it. It's just beautiful.
I remember the conversation we had with them, Xavier, because we go get shipped back to the hotel.
Yeah, we get rides back to the hotel.
And then they were pretty down about it. And I think at some point I was like, yo, just go balls to the wall. Just go crazy. Just
go crazy.
I was like giving them my energy. Like, just go all out. Like,
and then they just took it and ran with it. And like literally, I mean, look how far they've gotten. They've done great. Yeah. So it's just because I remember Justin, like, because Justin is like builds a lot of building and stuff like that. And Austin is like just like plays with his family, so they don't really do mocks. So for them to do really well like for them to go this far and keep there and they're doing a lot of great builds, I'm definitely happy, proud for them. They should definitely be confident in their building capabilities.
Especially really nice people too. I met them at BrickCon. They're just both of them are super nice.
And I just noticed that this is supposed to be like a spoon or something.
Here. Oh, a wooden spoon?
Yeah, this could have easily just been like a wooden bar, to block access to the hole. But no, they made it a spoon, so that's cool. And there's even some like frosting on this one.
So good.
Yeah, there's a lot of really good details.
All right, but last we have Nick and Stacy's game of cat and mouse. And this was like a fun mechanic. Like it was a game of Plinko, which is always a good time.
Oh,
Plinko, that's the best game.
Yeah, and there was also some controversy in this episode because for the second time in the episode, yeah, you're right. Stacy goes in for the high 10 and Nick like leaves her partially or completely hanging. Like,
he did that twice in that episode.
Yeah, he did it. He left her completely hanging earlier in the episode, and now he's just giving her one.
Yeah.
So, it's like a running thing.
I love it. It's just like
he won't give her both hands here. But yeah,
I'm sure he's not holding bricks in the other hand or something.
I'm sure he's not holding anything in the
controller or something.
No. And he definitely wasn't, trying to put the build down earlier when she went in for that.
Yeah, Stacy was like, "Oh, we got it down," and then like you didn't even like see it. It was just like, wow,
so good.
It's really passive aggressive.
I think it's just he wasn't paying attention. I think.
Yeah, we know. It's just silly that it does keep happening.
We'll have to ask them if they come on the show. It's like, are you just not used to doing high fives, Nick? Or
but yeah, here's their whole course. These cheeses are super fun too. There's also a mousetrap in here.
Yeah, I really love this, and those cats are so whimsical too.
Yeah, the cats
but
just
it was nerve-wracking when they were trying to put it into the space.
Yeah.
So it still functions, but you can see it's like, man, this gives me so much anxiety here. This because
it's just that little bit off, that the clutch is off. Yeah.
Tension.
But and it ended up working here because you can see here it's traveling upwards, and then here it is skating around. This was the only top shot that they had. So, but yeah, then down into the Plinko and out one of these 3 random doors. And here's the mousetrap.
Yeah.
And there you go. Oh, sorry, spoilers. But yeah, this was a cool little build.
I think it's crazy. Like they had 15 minutes left. It's like, oh, we need cats. And it's like Nick is like, I got it. And it was like, how is it gonna build cats in 15 minutes? It's like, whoa, that's how you do it. Okay, wow.
Yeah.
That's very, very quick.
Looks like a Kiki's delivery service. That black cat.
Yeah.
Gives off like Studio Ghibli type of vibes.
He
Yeah.
does have a Studio Ghibli look.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
would have been funny if they had like a Totoro cat
That'd be sick.
with like a little bus.
Yeah. Oh, cat
I know
bus.
they couldn't do that for intellectual
No,
property.
no. Some,
They
yeah.
probably could
some-
have had a different bus with a cat near it, right?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
No,
but these cats were really cute.
they're cute. Yeah. Well, Nick on his show does a lot of whimsical characters when he builds.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And Will got this in 2 shots, so it
Mhm.
worked.
Yeah.
Hashtag end result.
Yeah, that's right. There was a lot of drama behind this build, though.
Yeah.
I'm glad it worked out because
Oh, yeah.
like we know the tension of like over thinking on an idea, and it's like the time crunch hits, and it's just
Yeah.
like, oh man, we gotta execute.
And it was
Well-
nice that Greg helped them move it, too.
Yeah.
And also
very
the grandpappies mentioned that Greg also jumped in when they were putting the space station build on. Greg actually stepped up and said, "Hey, I've got this," and he held it, the space station, steady, so then that way they could put their build.
Oh, I didn't know that. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's really sweet. So Greg's going to be on our show with Brendan next week, so we'll have a chance to give them kudos then. Yeah.
But yeah, I just can't imagine, like, Stacy said that they measured it. I can't imagine measuring it and then going to put it down there and like it being off. That would be my nightmare.
Yeah.
That's where you like start thinking, am I going crazy? Like, what's happening? Did the bricks expand?
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm really glad they got it in there.
They got it in. Yeah.
Mhm.
And so did Will.
Yeah. But yeah, anyway, the top 2 teams from this episode were Dave and Emily's cottage water wheel build
Mhm.
and Austin and Justin's cake ride. And the winners were Austin and Justin.
Yeah. The
Yeah,
jacket.
earlier they
If you
said
look
that
at
it was a
this,
jacket.
Yeah, look at this real quick because Emily mentioned on Nick's show that the producers looked at Emily and Dave, and then they looked at Austin and Justin, and look at the jacket. If they put that jacket on Dave and Emily, it would have looked really pretty silly. So Emily thinks it was the height differential.
Oh, okay.
Cost them the win. Like I said, she said it on Brick and Nick show. So
That's hilarious. That's great.
They could have made it work, but yeah, it's also funny this way.
yeah, I mean, if it's a shared jacket, then yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, clearly they look really good with it, and they said they're going to do rounds at the hospital wearing
Oh, nice.
It's really like I love that this is so unnecessary. Like, it's just a comedy jacket. There's no function to it. So
Yeah.
whoever greenlit this, great job.
Well, you do
man.
know that the Masters in Atlanta,
Right.
it's in Augusta, so it's like right in their own backyard.
Mhm.
So, the big win is the green jacket.
It's the jacket.
And so
Yeah.
since you don't golf, the reference maybe is a little lost, but I think they also paid a lot of attention to the fact that it's a purple jacket, because if they used green, that could have been like a copyright or trademark infringement.
Oh,
Right.
interesting.
Plus, the green on green would not look well on television.
Yeah,
So I think they really thought about this, like what color could we do that would give enough contrast so that when it's actually put onto the contestants, that it's going to make a difference.
Mhm.
And it looks brilliant, right, for television?
It's just hilarious.
Yeah, yeah, it is
Yeah.
funny.
I'm
It's
just
super
looking
funny.
at this photo. Just,
Yeah.
oh man.
But yeah, you definitely don't want to put a big green screen on people, I guess, if you can help it. But great job, Docs.
Yeah.
You earned it.
However, now that this is aired, if they're going to bring
Yeah.
this to future conventions,
Yeah. Well,
because we did see them at BrickCon, and clearly they couldn't wear it at BrickCon.
Mm.
So that would be funny if they go to conventions with the jacket, kind of walking down the aisles.
Maybe they'll bring it.
Maybe.
um,
I'll ask them.
Yeah, well, I'm sure there'll be a lot of requests, and we better see some pictures of them on rounds with it. So
Yeah, they can bring it.
Yeah.
But
and
yeah,
it's great that they finally got a win.
Yes.
yeah, you can see how happy they are.
Yeah. And I think Emily does have a point. I think that jacket, if the two of them wore that jacket, it wouldn't play as well on TV.
Yeah. But okay, so yeah, and in the bottom two, because all the builds are good at this point, was Nick and Stacy and Ethan and Dom. And unfortunately, Ethan and Dom went home. And they were happy to be here, and they were still happy when they left, kind of.
Yeah.
You can see Dave is not that happy.
Yeah.
Well, I think too that this goes back to the previous episode where they could have won the golden brick, right? And things could have been completely different. Because would they have played it, and they may have played it and been safe, or would they have kept it thinking they're going to be fine and then they still would have lost? And it's an interesting thing to think about.
Right, because they made them decide to use it before the challenges were even tested. So it was just like, imagine like they didn't use it and because of a technicality on the build. I don't know. It would have played out interesting.
But they're still. I mean, they've been getting a lot of hate because they came in midstream, and thankfully it hasn't damaged them. Because a lot of trolls have been out there, just all this. The hate posts that are out there about these guys, but they're really super nice guys.
Yeah, they're young. They don't.
Exactly.
I think it's growing. It's really unfair to them. Like it's not. It wasn't their decision.
Right.
And literally like 18 years old, well 19. He had his birthday.
And you guys all got along with them, correct?
Yeah.
There wasn't any of this animosity on the show, right?
No. Like we're all like
it's
all
all the trolls
at the end of the day. So but it's also like, dude, they're kids, they're having fun. Like they have their TikTok, they have a chance. It's like
and let's not forget like they had less time to bond with everyone because of that.
True.
And that's really unfortunate because from what I remember, that's one of the things they were looking forward to, and they felt that when they were like initially got onto the show, they missed out on that opportunity, and it wasn't great. So I would rather have everyone be on the show at the same time, and we could all get to grow together.
Yeah, well, I like this framing because here's Brendan and Greg here, and Nick, and you guys all were good friends. So,
well, they refer to Brendan and Greg as their big brothers too, which is really cool. And we've had Ethan and Dom on the show as well, and before we knew this, and they're just really very talented, funny, and they just have a great zest for life. So we expect there's going to be a lot of future stories coming out of these kids.
Oh, but I guess Dom has to change the hair on his minifigure now.
Well,
let's update this.
John would need to as well.
Oh, that's true. Yeah. I have to reblonde it.
No, don't do it. Yourself.
But yeah, overall, this was a really fun episode, and this is I guess just where we'll leave it. This is just a shot of all the courses.
Yeah.
It was really a lot of fun, and thank you again, by the way. Thanks for being part of the show and for. Okay, Remy, you do it.
Oh yeah, sorry, I was like, just gonna
thanks for having us. Yeah, I super appreciate it.
We are so excited that you agreed to be on the show because we're a small channel, and we have had a chance to, at least thankfully, Endemol Shine has invited us to the table so we could interview people and have a chance to have these special kinds of reviews, and really appreciate you being here. Thank you, chat, also for hanging out with us. Lena Inverse and Fourth World Adam, Quagsire, all of you, Alex C. anybody who's been watching the stream and also watching on video demand too. We really appreciate you all being here. And of course, if you want to follow Xavier at xviloria_ on Instagram. And then Jon is at Dauntless Mecca on Instagram. And of course, you have Brick Literacy also on Instagram. And you're listening to the Brickanista Broadcast Network. Thank you all for being here. It was really great. And congratulations, Quagsire. We saw your note. Yeah, sorry about that mix-up there earlier. And then also, please like and subscribe to the stream. We're trying to grow the stream and be really appreciative for if you just smash that like button for us. And if you want to send any kind of snail mail, fan mail is always fun to read on the air to the Brickanista Broadcast Network, P.O. Box 31956, Seattle, Washington 98103. And thank you again, Jon and Xavier. It's so much fun having you on the show and learning about your stories. And you're welcome to come back anytime if you have any things happening in your life that you want to share with us.
Yeah, will do.
Yeah.
Thank you for inviting us.
And as they say on the Brickanista Broadcast Network, thank you, everybody. And may the clutch be with you. Take care. Bye.
Bye. Bye, everyone.